They say, push your limits. That's how we grow. And so we try our best to push our limits, for we are tired of staying put inside the boundaries of these limits. And so we try our best to stretch those limits, for we want to expand the very space we've been standing in, living in. Which is where, as we continue to walk even further on our path of self-transformation, we begin to realize that so long as we believe ourselves to be this image, so long as we live within this self-concept, pushing past these limits is as imaginary and illusionary as the sense of self itself. Which is where we begin to understand that pushing our limits is surpassing the notions of some or all of what that defines us, and at the same time, that which confines us. Pushing our limits is actually pushing ourselves out of our existing self-image, self-concept and identity with which we are identified with, and that which created these limitations in the first place. But only because it is no longer working favorably for us. And this is where we must also realize that so long as we cling to this fixed image and concept of ourselves, even if we succeed in pushing past these limits, it will self-regulate itself back to the image, concept and identity we have and hold about ourselves in our own mind. Because let's understand this for good. So long as that self exists, so does its limitations, the walls, the boundaries. And perhaps that is what breakdowns are all about. Breaking down the very structure of that self in our attempts to build and create a new. But that's something we will speak on a different day in another video. But for now, isn't it time to rise up to the realization that true growth lies not in pushing our limits but rather in transforming ourself itself, who created these limitations in the first place? Isn't it wiser to transform our sense of self itself while in the limits within these limits, and find out for ourselves how these limitations in turn also automatically changes? Which is what fortunately and exactly we've been doing ever since we started walking upon this path of self-transformation. Walk with me as we each transform our sense of self itself, who created these limitations in the first place.